Just this past week in our country, we celebrated National Bosses Day. It's that day, along with the anniversary of your marriage and Mother's Day, that husbands give a card to their wives. Well, some of you are awake this morning. And I'm sure, of course, wives give cards to their husbands as well on National Bosses Day. After all, you are equals, right? Yes, National Bosses Day. It's fitting then that we should have such a gospel as we do this Sunday, given the fact that we just observed that annual ritual where employees honor their employer. Or at least we hope they do if they like them. But it's good for us to reflect on, as Jesus invites us to in the gospel today, to reflect on leadership. What makes a good leader? Why, every day there's new resources, there's new articles, there's new periodicals that show up to define and to help us understand what it is that we need to do, who we need to be about as we strive to become the leaders that we are called to, whether that leadership be in roles as parents or as teachers, whether it be in government or whether it be the head of a company. Why, leadership is so incredibly important. But everything that has been written, everything that has been said, when people are asked what makes a good leader, guess what the top two attributes of a good leader are? Number one, the number one attribute of a good leader is they're a listener. They listen. Interesting, isn't it? And the second most popular attribute that people define that makes a good leader, along with listening, number two is problem solving. It almost falls naturally, doesn't it? We listen, and oftentimes when we listen to others, we begin to discover the issues that are going on in their life, and why then, of course, we're about, as leaders, called upon to become problem solvers. To listen, to solve problems. No wonder we so oftentimes get frustrated with our government leaders. You're supposed to laugh there as well. Because both of them, both listening and problem solving, move us from being self-centered to other-centered. We are unable to truly listen if we strive to truly listen. That means, of course, to truly listen, we have to give that person both of our ears, and not just both of our ears, we have to give that person our heart as well. If we're really good listeners, why, we'll set aside our own agenda, we'll set aside our own list of things that need to be done. We will simply set aside our agenda, and we will listen with ears and with eyes and with a heart open to what it is that the person is attempting to say to us. It moves us from being self-centered to other-centered, as does problem solving, of course, because it calls upon you and I as effective and good leaders to be able to recognize what the issues are, to be able to help sort them out, and to be able to find the most probable and the most best way to solve the issue or the problem that might be at hand. To listen, to problem solve. Jesus does both beautifully in today's gospel when James and John come to him with a simple request. I love their request, don't you? It's like a child coming to a parent asking them, we want you to give us whatever we ask for. So what does Jesus say to them? As a good leader, what does he do? He listens to them. He says, what do you want me to do for you? Jesus could have very easily said, don't bother me. Don't bother me. No, he says, what do you want me to do for you? And so John and James give to him their request. We want to be with you in your glory. We want to be on your left and on your right. I wonder when James and John were standing at a distance, because of course they ran when they needed to run, of course, when Jesus was hanging upon the cross, as they saw Jesus in his moment of glory hanging on the cross, I wonder if they were glad that Jesus didn't grant their request to be on his left and on his right. But notice who was. Thieves, robbers. They were with Jesus in that ultimate moment of glory where Jesus teaches us by example what it means to serve, what it means to give of one's life in ransom for the many. But nonetheless, Jesus, the good listener, listens to James and John, and then he goes about solving the problem as he summons the other 10 who, of course, are mad. And of course, they're mad because they didn't get to Jesus with the request first. We all want that recognition, don't we? And if you don't believe it, why, think about all the shows on television that, why, honor the best actor and the best songwriter and the best this and the best that. We certainly always want to be recognized for our accomplishments. And so Jesus summons the 10 and he summons the 12 and he summons you and I, and he gathers us around and he teaches us what it means to be a leader, what it means to enter into one's glory, what it means to seek greatness. And it is the path that leads to service. It is a path that leads you and I to give of ourselves for the other. It is a path that involves you and I each and every day choosing as Christ did, to listen to the needs of our sisters and brothers, to be attentive to what's going on in their life as well as in ours. And then always to be about working together, to solve problems, to get through issues, to be able to lead ourselves down the path of reconciliation and forgiveness and seeking the best solutions to the difficulties that lie before us, because, my friends, there are enough problems to circle this world several times over. But you and I, rather than being then creators of the problems, we need to be solvers. We need to be listeners. We need to be servants. We need to be reconcilers. And if we do, why then the request of James and John will be ours. And we will receive the glory we seek, having a place of honor next to our Lord, who will welcome us because we chose to listen. We chose to solve problems. We chose to serve rather than be served.